Hi again, this is Michael McGuire, elder law attorney with the California Elder Law Center. California Elder Law Center has offices located conveniently throughout Southern California to help families deal with the issue of long-term care and the issues that need to be addressed through answering two questions. One is, how am I going to pay for care? And two, who's going to take care of me? I promised you in the last session, after we discussed your different choices of how to pay for long-term care, that I would give you some great insights about public benefits and how they actually work. All of these programs are built on the chassis of income. They're designed for people who have low income. This is a process that sometimes is a little hard for us to get our heads around, so stay with me here for a minute while I go through this. Let me give you an example of how the government operates and how it thinks. If you had a business that had $6,840 a month in expenses, but only $1,500 a month in income, the government has a word for that business that describes it. Now, it may not be today, but it is eventually going to go bankrupt. It's going to go bankrupt because it doesn't have enough income. It doesn't have enough income. The result is they have their own court, they have their own laws, they have a whole body of regulations that deal with this issue. Bankruptcy is an issue that is based upon income. Now, what is the government's word for an individual who has a $6,840 a month medical necessity, but that person is faced with only having an income of $1,500? Now, the government has a word for that individual. But hold up for just a minute. Before you answer that question, let me give you a couple of other facts. That person has a house. That house may be worth as much as $1 million. That person has a spouse that has over $110,000 cash sitting in the bank. The person has a car. That person has a house full of furniture. The person has a little bit of life insurance. The person has a prepaid burial plan set aside. That person has a retirement account that may have $200,000, $300,000, even $400,000 in it. Now, what word would we use to describe the person who has the $6,800 medical necessity but an income of only $1,500? You might be surprised to know the government's word for that person is indigent. Indigent. Why is that? The reason for it is your eligibility is based upon only income. Only income. You will qualify for the program based upon assets, but that's not where we're at yet. We want to know if we're even eligible. And so the eligibility process that you need to go through is a question of income. Now, many people have told me, and this is a giant myth that they face all the time because they get misinformation. I called an individual agency, and this is what they told me: I have too much income. Well, I'm going to show you how that's the wrong conversation for you to be having with a public agency. If your income is less than the amount of your medical necessity, you are eligible for benefits, very valuable benefits. In our next session, I'm going to go through this process with you about how you calculate that income. It's simple, it's easy, it makes a lot of sense, and when you're done, you'll be very comfortable with how this process works. So stay tuned. The next one's even better than this.